Kia ora koutou. Here's number 5 in our series of 5 videos about embedding Mātauranga Māori in our English classrooms, and not just embedding, we mean tapping into that knowledge, using that knowledge when we are reading, when we are writing. And this video is going to focus on the gods, Ngā Atua. Rightio, so again, I always have my one pager here and I go through and I think, as I said before, with the stars of Matariki, Ngā Whetū, I go through and I think, how could that relate to something to do with the setting? How could that relate to an event that's happened, or that character and the way they're developing a conflict that they've had? So I look at each one at a time. So Io is our supreme god. But then these are some of the other main gods. There are plenty. These are the ones that I've chosen to work with. So Rongomatane is the god of peace, but also cultivated crops. So those two things could definitely relate to a setting in a text that you are studying, whether it is fiction or not. You can watch the news and think about this god and the influence that he might be having. Tāwhiri mātia, the weather, perhaps you've got quite I keep thinking about dystopian settings, but you can imagine the desert or something like that, and those winds blowing, and imagine if the students were describing that setting. There's a helicopter hovering above my house, describing that setting and bringing in, and Tāwhiri mātia is sweeping through, or blowing the winds, the sands, or whatever. Okay, so just another way of describing. Mātauranga, of course, the god of war here. This little guy is not such a little guy. He's the god of war, but he's also the god of cultivation. I only just learned that the other day. And also gathering, like your fishing and things. So then I went through this existential crisis about whether or not he's a goodie or a baddie, because I just think he's tough. And so poor guy, he is blamed for wars all the time, but maybe he's just tough and he doesn't take any nonsense and he's about getting stuff done. So how might he be influencing things that go on in your novel? Or again, writing from that god's point of view about what's going on in your novel or in that documentary you're studying. Whirl is the god of basically all the evil things. And you can't tell me there's not evil in every text that you study. Obviously, things like tangaroa, rangi nui, papatua nuku. If you're doing something like climate change, a lot of schools are combining, say, social studies and English. They would be 3 that you could really tap into about, what are we doing? What are these gods thinking of us right now? Here, another thing you can do is look at the characters. So how has this character got little traits of that god in them? That might be a way of helping describe the character. Or what traits does that character need to move up and into a better space and be a better person? So that could be good too. So here's an example of a little worksheet that you can make. You just pop your little things all around it, and then here I've got students, what do they have to do? Write one bullet point in the box in the center of the page. So here it is, for each of the gods. Your bullet point could say either how your character would make that god proud, and then they can briefly explain why, depending on, you could differentiate it, right? So some of them are just saying how they made that god proud, but the extension is, will explain why. Now, of course, students could do this about themselves as well, or how our character could do with the help of that God. So again, it's just giving them another tool to think critically about character and also about setting. So just a couple of little ways that you can tap into that Mātauranga in terms of in your English classroom. So the gods are pretty cool. And again, like Ngā Whetū or Matariki, the stars of Matariki, very visual, great for metaphors and similes in their writing. You know, so he was loud like rua moko, or sad like papatuanuku, shimmering like tawhiri matu. I'm thinking on the top of my head, but can you see how you can just let the imagination run wild? And it's just fantastic.